too?
Is everyone ready? We'll take them to the fridge for you. Whenever you're finished with those chocolate balls, just go ahead and
What's 67, Ash? What do you mean?
he knows 6'7".
Thank you.
You say hi to my vlog. Hello. Say hi to my vlog, Mizo baby. And baby, oh baby. Yeah, baby, oh baby. Oh, 12 million in the house. We are currently at Hershey.
Alright, everyone's bars look amazing. So now we're going to get into this presentation. The first thing we're going to go over is cacao versus cocoa. Now a lot of people have seen at least one of these words, if not both. And if you do know both, you might even think that they mean the same thing or that they're used interchangeably. That's not your fault. That's the fault of some companies who we will not name who use the wrong word on their packaging. It just looks a little fancier, might smell a little bit better, but it's actually not correct. So cacao refers to anything before the fermentation process, so cacao flour, cacao pod, and cacao fruit. And cocoa refers to anything after the fermentation process is completed, so cocoa butter, cocoa powder, or cocoa nibs. But what actually is cacao? Cacao, if you didn't know, is a fruit. It is the fruit of a tree called Theobroma cacao. Theobroma cacao translates from Greek to mean food of the gods. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that chocolate is divine, but that's not actually why it got that name. The name actually pays tribute to the first civilization to be credited with inventing chocolate. Does anyone have a guess as to who that is? Mexico. It is in Mexico. It's a civilization. Close, not the Aztecs. Yes, it is the Maya.
Parang ilang beses na pumunta dito yun ah.
Alright, so it is the Maya. And the reason that we
6 million.
know that is because they wrote it down. This clip here is cacao. This is the first written down we know how to write chocolate. There may have been other civilizations before the Maya who had chocolate, but their languages are lost to time, and so we have no idea. Now, how the Mayans made chocolate was with this big volcanic rock here, which is called the mano and metate. What they would do is they would pour some dried beans on top, and then they would grind up and down for hours on end over a hot flame until those beans turned into a thick, gritty paste. The mano, this is the mano, and this is the metate.
Matate.
Then once they had that thick paste, they would take it, pour it into some hot water, and it would be the first hot chocolate. But granted, they didn't have marshmallows, they didn't have peppermint, they didn't have processed sugar, so it was very bitter drink. They would flavor it instead with things like chili peppers, flowers, fruits, and sometimes honey if they were really lucky. The reason that they were able to enjoy this drink is because they lived in a tropical rainforest region. Now,
Philippines.
Anywhere that is 100 degrees above or below the equator is somewhere where we like to call the bean belt. Now it's called the bean belt because not only do cacao beans grow there, but also vanilla beans and coffee beans. Anywhere here where you see this cute little cacao bean sticker is somewhere where cacao is grown and exported from. Does anyone have a guess as to which one of the United States could grow cacao? Not Florida. Yes, so Hawaii actually does grow cacao. They do not export it, so they don't get a sticker. In the wild, cacao trees can be found growing along rivers as they need a lot of water to grow. For the first 5 or so years of the cacao tree's life, they are still growing, but for the next 60 or so years, they are constantly producing fruit. Each tree can live up to 100 years old, which is pretty good. Now these trees have these cute little flowers. They can produce up to 70,000 of these flowers at a time on one tree. Now the reason they can is because this flower is very pretty, but it is also very small. If you hold up your pinky finger for me, and then look at just your fingernail, that is how big the flower is. So a small flower needs a small pollinator, and that is our friends the midge fly. Now before I continue with any of that, who wants to play a game? All right, good. So this game is called the pollinator game. I'm going to go to each table, and I'm going to ask you to name one pollinator at the table before you have not said. If you can do that, your entire table will get a Hershey. We'll start with purple. Any pollinator. These are pollinators. There we go.
What's the one another one?
It's not a game. Just have
Mother bee. Queen bee, queen bee, queen bee.
Cicadas.
Do you know?
Queen bee.
Not a butterfly.
No, queen bee.
Queen bee?
Yeah.
I think queen bee. Are queen bees, do they ever leave the hive?
Yeah. And it's for the colonies.
Alright. I guess.
Or cicadas.
Oh yeah, cicadas are also fun.
See? Ako na naman ang nakasagot.
Cicadas daw.
Queen bee. Queen bee, queen bee.
Oh, 1 million a house. Yan po si Miss Baby. Nanalo po kami ng chocolate. Or a pollinator, maybe a cockroach?
Oh my gosh,
Ma'am.
nakakarami.
Ma'am. Or cicadas.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good guesses there. Now those are all pollinators. There are some other pollinators that we didn't mention, like the wind, and also humans can be pollinators. But the only pollinator that can pollinate this flower is our friend the midge fly. Now he's the only one because he is attracted to the aroma of the flower, but he's also very, very tiny. He is so tiny, in fact, that if you look at the edge of a penny, the midge fly cannot touch both ends at the same time. That is how tiny he is. Now he looks a little bit ugly, that's because he is in the same order as both the housefly and the mosquito, so he is a biting insect. I think it's worth the price to pay though for chocolate. Now if you look at this picture here, you can see those little light dots, those are flowers, those green pods, those are right, and those yellow pods, those are right. You can see they're all growing at the same time, which is very interesting for a tree. Most trees, like apple trees, just grow once a year and then grow all their fruit. Meanwhile, the cacao tree actually grows fruit year-round. So there are two harvesting seasons, once in the fall and once in the spring.
Oh, wow.
At any time, you can probably walk up to a cacao tree and pick off a piece of ripe fruit, but we can only harvest twice as to make sure not to scare away or kill any of the midge flies. No midge flies, no chocolate. Now, if you notice here, these pods are growing straight off the trunk of the tree instead of off the branches. Now, scientists used to think that this was because the pods were too heavy, but actually it's because this type of tree is a part of what is called the cauliflory tree. Now, cauliflory nice texture, weight, and even length. Then you can find bright pink pods, bright green pods, yellow pods. So it's very difficult to tell when a pod is red based on sight alone. Does anyone have any ideas of which one of your 5 senses you can use to tell when a pod is right? This one here is just a model of a pod, so it's accurately sized and fitted though, so I'm gonna let y'all pass that around. What's your answer? Not touch. Smell. Not smell. Not sight. Yes, you use your sense of hearing. Wow. So, I know it's very shocking. That's one of our hardest questions, believe it or not. So this pod here is a freeze-dried real pod. So when you give it a shake, you can hear those seeds rattling inside. Now when the pods are still attached to the tree, they don't sound as much as like maraca, but you can still hear that thumping inside, and you'll know that the pod is right. You hear the sloshing, or like, it sounds kind of wet inside, that means it's being rot. And if you hear nothing, like if that model pod there, that means it's not quite right yet. If you would like to come up after class and shake, oh my god! All right. Now to harvest these pods, you have to be very careful. Every single cow pod has to be harvested by hand. No heavy machinery is involved in the process, because any heavy machinery traveling through the area can scare or kill away the midge flies. Those midge flies live in the leaf litter. So if you try like a, I don't know, you can kill or scare them away, and then they never come back, and then you have no chocolate, and you'd be very, very sad. So you just use a machete, kind of chop it off, but you have to be very careful as to not accidentally hit the bark of the tree and damage what's known as the natural cushion of the tree. If you hit it there, then like your skin, it'll scar over, and no more flowers will ever bloom in that spot. If you damage it too much, the entire tree will stop producing fruit altogether.
You don't want to touch it.
Once you have your fruit picked off of the tree, you're going to want to crack that open and you see what's inside. Inside there are these little seeds covered in this white sticky fruit, which is called mucilage. It has a very gross name, but it actually
Tastes good.
It has a texture of like banana, but a flavor
That tastes
similar
good.
to lime, mango, and lychee all combined. So it tastes
bad.
pretty good. It's actually very popular in the places where cacao is from. Then once you take that stuff off of the seeds, you'll be left with around 30 to 50 of those seeds. Now, 30 to 50 of those seeds can make around 2 standard-sized chocolate bars, which is a lot. If you're into dark chocolate, you can only make about 1. If you are into Hershey Kisses, you can only make 16 or 17. And I sometimes eat more than that in just one sitting. So.
Sweet.
Once you have your seeds, you're going to have to ferment them. Fermentation is the process of purposefully spoiling a food, so it turns into something else. Other foods that we do this with include yogurt, sauerkraut, pickles. Those are all fermented foods. There are 2 main processes of fermenting. The first is called the heat method, and that's bottom right there. What we do is we take banana leaves, lay them down, pour the beans on top, cover it up, and stir it around every few days to make sure that the sugar gets cracked inside. The second method, which is used by larger farms, is called the box method. What you do is you take some boxes, put them in a stair-step formation, pour the fresh beans on top. Every day they move down the box until in around 7 to 9 days they are at the bottom, and they are fully fermented. Once they are fully fermented, they can be shipped off to chocolate factories like our Hershey West factory in bags like this one here. Now this bag is a real bag that has since been retired. This bag used to ship beans all the way from Ghana to the States. Now this bag alone will hold up to 200 pounds of cocoa beans.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
That's how much. And some people say it even still smells like chocolate. So if after the class you would like to come up and sniff the bag, you are welcome to do so. Alright, so this here is just a flow chart. You sort of thing to show the steps of making chocolate. Take our ingredients, make sure we grind it all down, and we have chocolate. We're going to go a little bit more in depth. The first step with making the factory is to roast them. Before this step, chocolate, the cocoa doesn't really taste like chocolate at all. It tastes kind of bitter and grassy, like if you've ever accidentally bitten into an apple seed. It tastes very similar to that. So we have to roast them. The only way you can tell when your So what we do is we have this machine. We put our beans into it, fire it through an air tunnel at very high speeds, and we snatch it against the wall. You can see that in that graphic there. Whoa. All the shells that come off of the bibs then just get blown away by the wind current. And what we're left with are cocoa nibs.
Oh, my favorite Pokemon is coffee. It's
Very, very good for you. They're better for you than other superfruits like blueberries, so you can eat a lot of them. But the downside is that they are very bitter. So instead of eating them raw, you can eat them with things like yogurt, in like shakes. If you want to be extra healthy, you can eat them in something like ice cream.
Yogurt.
We're going to take those nibs then, and we are going to grind it down in this grinder.
Can we purchase those nibs here? Or can you?
I don't think we sell them here, but on nuts.com they do sell nibs.
You don't want to get them on like Amazon? And health food stores.
So once our nibs are ground up, we are going to load with unsweetened chocolate. Now this unsweetened chocolate you can eat as well, but I wouldn't eat it even if you paid me. It has the texture of cold, wet, gritty, bitter sand in your mouth.
Nutella.
What we're going to do then is we're going to take some of this unsweetened chocolate and put it in a big hydraulic press. We're going to squish it down so hard that the fat actually comes out, and that fat is cocoa butter.
Ooh, cocoa
Now we're
butter.
going to take this cocoa butter and we're going to sell some of it to companies to use for like beauty products. But we are also going to take some of it back and place it back into the unsweetened chocolate that we didn't press. And that's going to allow our chocolate to stay solid at room temperature instead of
20 minutes.
because back before Joseph Fry discovered that chocolate could be made into bar form, it would have to be sold as a drink or as a pudding. Oh yeah, go for it. Now the other product that comes out is cocoa powder. Now cocoa powder isn't actually used in the process of making chocolate at all. So it used to actually be a waste product that would just thrown away. We're then going to mill our chocolate, have an improved texture. We're going to conch it, smooth it out, develop a lot of flavor, and then we're going to separate it. As hand
I love
separate,
to
take
play
separate,
like
takes
that.
a
I
long
love to
time.
play
We get to out by around 7 p.m. We did that, so we have this machine instead. The final step is molding. In class, we have these cute little plastic molds, but at the factory they have those big metal ones. They taste about the same. Now, does anyone have any questions before we hand back your bars?
Nope.
All right, great. If you do have any questions, or if you'd like to talk, sniff the bag, shake the beans, feel free to call up afterwards. But we are going to pass back your bars as well as some cute little chocolate lab stickers. What you're going to do is you're going to take your bar, you're going to leave it in that mold because that mold is reusable and the bars travel a lot better that way. You're going to slide it into your bag, close that bag over, and then place that cute chocolate lab sticker on top. You can now also begin to remove your hairnets, your aprons, just roll them into one big canvas so that
And some of our stickers.
You're
This is
good.
the first of our. Here, I'll be back to check one in a moment. Okay, wait.
Give me my stickers. Give me my stick. Oh, no. Hold on.
here are the rest of
Give me my stickers.
No.
Give me stickers.
Just leave it there.
Give me my stickers.
It's gonna melt. I cannot see it. Look.
Now, if you do choose to eat your chocolate now, I just ask that you don't eat it upstairs or in the special kitchen.
You can put it away. In the bag? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey, why'd you put this inside? Not even open.
You don't, for me, don't need to take them out because it's gonna melt.
What do you mean? You're supposed to remove it.
No, for me, it's reusable. Oh, I need a bag. What do you? Two bags. Thank you. Here, plus for your bag. Let me have fun. Give it to me. Oh, yeah.